first team we go over with is New York Knicks. My team that I support, so a bit of favoritism, but gonna try and be as non-biased as possible.
Yeah. Well, come on now. You're a huge New York Knicks fan. I don't think anyone can blame you if there's a little bit of bias going into that, but I think you're a pretty modest person. I think your predictions will be pretty good, but you know what? I guess you can go first. We'll hear them.
Just wait till you hear them, mate.
Okay.
So I reckon one bold prediction I've personally got for a player at New York Knicks, I honestly reckon RJ Barrett might be potentially an all-star next year. And I know that's big. That is huge for a player like RJ Barrett's caliber, especially with players around him like Kemba and Julius this year. But I seriously reckon RJ Barrett can go into next season and average like 20 points per game.
Oh yeah, sky's the limit for this kid, and the Knicks really went out in the off season and they brought back players that help RJ Barrett. Like RJ Barrett's he's a pretty good player, but the thing he's exactly not really most known for is his 3-point shooting. So like to make up for the lack of 3-point shooting, the Knicks legitimately went out, brought back Alec Burks on a $10 million per year deal, which is very tradable if needed. Brought in Evan Fournier, great 3-point shooter, and that's only going to make RJ Barrett better. So to answer it, the sky's the limit, and this kid could definitely possibly push to be an all-star this season. And with the additions of Fournier, Burks, they'll all be great and continue to be great for Barrett. I'm just really interested to see how he goes with Kemba Walker, though, because Kemba Walker's been known to be a pretty big shot creator throughout his career. So does Barrett get better with Kemba Walker, or does he remain similar?
I reckon Kemba Walker and RJ will play really well together. When we got to the end of the year of Kemba Walker's season in Boston, we saw the chemistry between Fournier and Walker. They played really well together. It seemed like when they were on the court together, they knew where each other were at all times, and Kemba killed it. Kemba actually played really well with Fournier. He averaged like 27 points per game. This is in 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And like 6 assists. But again, this is a small sample size as well. But he's shown he plays really well with Fournier. So I reckon it will be a similar approach with RJ. Because RJ can take that step back and just be a shooter now.
Yeah.
I think a big thing with RJ was last year, in his rookie season, he had a big issue with, like you said, he couldn't shoot. He only shot like 30% from the 3-point, and then his personal coach and him went into the offseason with one goal, and that was to improve his 3-point shot. The next season, 40% from 3-point.
That's pretty crazy, and that's the thing he's not known for. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. The other thing that you will have to consider with RJ Barrett is he's having a little bit of a positional change this year, because most years he plays at that genuine wing, shooting guard, small forward. This year, Fournier will be heavily starting at that shooting guard position, which means Barrett will be mostly playing his time at small forward. And again, that's another challenge for him, is guarding small forwards consistently, because he's a pretty big guy, so he can have his fun with shooting guards. They're usually much smaller than him. But now he's going head to head with competition that will be the same height as him pretty much every single game. And it will be interesting to see how he moves over to that permanent small forward position, I would think. And clearly the Knicks wouldn't have offered Fournier so much money if they didn't think Barrett could do so. So I'm pretty excited to see how he goes there as well.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. I think last year we had Reggie Bullock kind of play the small forward position for us, and he was always guarding their best player every night. Yep. If that's LeBron James, in the small forward position, shooting guard, he was guarding that player every night. He was guarding Trae Young in the playoffs. I think now that's probably going to be RJ Barrett's role at the small forward position. He'll be guarding their best player probably every night, which, again, we'll see how that happens, how he works through that for the upcoming season. But he's actually a pretty good defender. He's fast on his feet. He's good.
Yeah, and that's all credit to the Knicks as well. They took his development really, really nicely, where they gave him the shooting guard role for the first 2 years, knowing that a player like him might struggle a little bit to guard the small forward, straight away. And then, of course, in the third year now, they've realised that he should be experienced enough to move over. And that's a credit to the Knicks, because a lot of teams don't do that and aren't able to do that. I look at my Cavs for an example. Isaac Okoro, who I would have thought, he probably should have done what Barrett did, start at shooting guard for the first 2 seasons and then move to small forward. But he hasn't. And I think that's only helped Barrett's development even more, though, because he's not only learnt to guard, the small forward here and there, but he's also guarded the, shooting guard position quite a bit as well. And he's also guarded point guards here and there. He could be a potential player in the future that could almost guard 1 through 4, and that's credit to the New York Knicks development.
That's really valuable. You don't have many players in the league that can guard 1 to 4, and especially at his age of only being 21 right now, that's honestly, it's incredible. And I think this New York team, I don't know, it's hard to get a grasp on, because they could, if Kemba Walker plays like he did, let's say in Hornets, a few years ago, or if he just plays kind of how he was coming to the end of that Boston that last year, he would be awesome. He could average, 22 points per game or 20 points per game. Like, he could honestly be really good, Kemba Walker. And so I just want to say this real quick. Just have a think of how much of a major improvement he is from our last starting point guard. Do you know who our last starting point guard was?
Oh, yeah.
Alfred
Payton. Well, there you go. That's a pretty big improvement, if I'm being completely honest here. But, the 2 best Knicks players are also other shot creators in Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. So only time will tell how Kemba Walker, messes with them, and meshes rather, and if they can actually work together. Because we did see Kemba didn't exactly work that well with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are also shot creators.
Yeah, no, they did not play well whatsoever, and I think that was quite obvious. But yeah, I just think it'll be a little bit different in New York. It seems like Kemba Walker's coming into Madison Square Garden with a new mindset. Yeah, a mission.
Mission to win. All right. Well, what do you have as their projections then? Like with the whole entire New York Knicks teams, their predictions, and how do you think they're going to go?
Yeah, so I just think, coming into this season, I reckon they'll be really good. I reckon if you look at their schedule for the start of this season, it's not the easiest and it's not the hardest. It's probably mediocre. They could probably start the season with 8 wins, 2 losses, which that's really, really good.
Yeah. That might be the first seed in the East if we're thinking about it.
It is. I think that would for sure be the first seed for that first 10 games. Do I think they're going to be the first seed? No.
Yeah.
There's no way. But I think, honestly, you can look at this New York team and say, if everything goes right in their favor, if Kemba kills it, if Fournier, Randall, Barrett, if Obi Toppin starts to do something really good off the bench, you could probably say this team could win 50 games, which is, yeah.
Well, that's where I had them at. I originally had them at 50 wins, which would be 9-7 more than last year or whatever, which is that's a huge difference if we do think about it. But I think the issue is so many other teams in the East have improved this year, like Chicago. I'd be surprised if Chicago didn't do good. I know people are kind of on their backs and don't necessarily think they will be as good as what some other people are saying. And look, they've got a depth issue, we know that, but they will be much improved whether people like it or not. And the other thing is as well, the Miami Heat, they're going to be much better this year as well. I mean, they've done heaps. So I think they'll for sure win more games, but I think there'll be a differential on how much better they are this year than they are last year. There'll be a noticeable difference. So I think I'll probably have them at 45 to 47 games.
Yeah.
They'll probably win just because the competition will be much harder, and I don't expect them to be, as switched on all the time. So that just kind of means to me that they're still gonna have a good season, and I just think the competition will be much harder.
Yeah, see, I personally reckon, again, this is where the bias kind of comes in. I reckon the sky's the limit with this team, and I reckon we win 50 games. I reckon 50 games and 32 losses. And yeah, that is a big prediction. But when you actually look at this team, they honestly have a lot of potential to be really good. It's a team that they should definitely make it out of the first round. Again, it depends who they're playing, but instead of last year how they lost in the first round to Atlanta, I really think this team should get out the first round.
Yeah. Oh well, you'd expect it to, but who will they get? We'll just have to see who they play in the first round. Of course, that will be, I think, the big factor in it, because for all we know, there could be a team seriously good that disappoints this year and maybe becomes a team that is lower in the standings. Like, it's definitely happened before. Miami struggled extremely this year, and they were a team that just made the finals the year before. So I guess it really comes down to who the New York Knicks do play in the playoffs, I guess. But I completely agree with you say. You know, the sky's the limit for this team. They could win 50 games, but I don't think they are expected to. But look, they surprised us last year. Why can't they surprise us again this year?
I think from Vegas right now, I think the over and under is 41.5, which that just seems very low for me.
Oh, they'll get over that. Unless something weird would happen, like unless Kemba sucked that much that he just hurt the team more than he helped them. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think we'll be really good, and I think we'll be actually a really exciting team to watch, especially with all our televised games this year, which I'll tell you, it's a big improvement. We've now got I think 29 televised games for the season, which is
fans back at Madison Square as well.
Oh, it's gonna be a amazing season for New York.
Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. This was actually a clip from a podcast that I recently just did with my mate called Nothing But Action. I really recommend you guys go and check this podcast out. Of course, I will link it in the description down below. He's working extremely hard to continue to make content for you guys. And again, I've just been kind of on it. You know, my voice is there, but he's doing all the work. Again, a lot of stuff has been going on. I had a lot of fun enjoying, recording this podcast rather, and even talking about the Knicks. So, of course, I would very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Again, I am actually putting out a new podcast very soon, which I don't think will be out at the time of this video. Who knows, it could be. I'm not too sure, but a little announcement, a little sneak peek for those of you who have stayed to the end of the video. I actually will be starting a new YouTube channel very, very shortly, where I'll be dedicating some of my podcast clips to that channel. So, of course, make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Again, a full announcement and all will be coming out very soon, when, of course, all of that stuff does happen. So definitely stay tuned for that. Again, a little quick update as well. I've been making so much videos for my gaming channel, MIRO/vlogging channel. I've been uploading daily on my gaming, trying to upload weekly on my vlogging channel /IRL channel, whatever you want to call it. But of course, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content and NBA news. And of course, don't forget to check out all those and of course, comment your thoughts and opinions. But as I was saying, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.